What is up, you guys? Michael here. It is 2021 and 2020 just flew right on by. And as usual, at the start of every year, we are met with great stock market predictions by all the so-called experts. Now, many of these reports that these experts are putting out for their predictions for the stock market in 2021 are calling for a great stock market collapse or a similar recession that we saw in 2020. While on the other hand, you have some other so-called experts that are predicting an extended bull market rally extending through and beyond 2021. So in this video, we're going to review why some investors are predicting a stock market crash and are a little bit nervous to put their money in the market, while other investors are more optimistic, and ultimately come to a conclusion what you all should do and implement as your investing strategy for the new year. But before we begin, if you guys don't mind doing me a quick favor, just hitting the like button below, just till it turns blue. Honestly, it just helps with the YouTube algorithm and truthfully helps me promote this content out to similar folks out there who may find value from it. So for that, I truly do thank you guys. So first, let's go ahead and address why some people are predicting a great pullback or potential recession again happening in 2021. And the one that sticks out like a sore thumb is COVID-19 concerns. Now, much of this will actually hinge on the effectiveness of the vaccine for the coronavirus. There have been many companies that have been developing a vaccine. Some of the ones you've been more familiar with, such as Pfizer or Moderna, among others, have finally reached FDA approval and emergency use authorization. Now, there are two things to really consider when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccine: its effectiveness and how quickly it can actually roll out to the greater public. Now, if the vaccine is not as effective as experts are hoping for, then we may not see as big of a reduction in cases and ultimately in deaths as well. Additionally, the vaccine could take months to roll out, and not only that, it could take months, if not well over a year, to actually distribute out to the greater public in hopes that we reach herd immunity. People like Dr. Anthony Fauci have expressed that he believes 75 to 90% of the population would need to receive the vaccine to reach said herd immunity. And on top of that, I don't know if this is true or not, but studies have found, at least the ones I have read, that only around 50 to 70% of surveyed people say they are willing to take the vaccine. So if Dr. Fauci is right, and ultimately we do not see the effectiveness of the vaccine, at least not as quickly as we're hoping for, then we could see prolonged damage to our economy, especially when it comes to small businesses and industries such as entertainment and hospitality. Another thing that we can't necessarily rule out is potential lockdowns or stay-at-home orders. We've seen this come back in several states such as California and New York, where they're asking restaurants to close down and non-essential businesses to either operate at limited capacity or at no capacity at all. Now, we should also not completely eliminate the chances of a national or nationwide lockdown or stay-at-home order. Now, while I personally believe that this is unlikely, all things are possible, especially with a new administration stepping into office, Biden coming in January, and he's certainly going to have to deal with the added pressure of dealing with COVID-19. Now, if a national lockdown were to occur, I would probably edge on the side of caution because I would not doubt that the stock market at a minimum would have a pretty significant pullback, whether it be temporary or a longer period of time, that is still unknown. Now, on the flip side of that, if the COVID-19 vaccine does prove to be efficient and the rollout of the vaccine is also efficient and rolls out very quickly, we could see an extended bull market rally through 2021. The past several months have been carried largely due to the larger tech stocks that have seemed to continue to grow even though we've had the lockdown orders. Companies like Amazon, Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Google, just to name a few, have fared pretty well throughout this whole process. Now, on the flip side of that, some companies and some industries continue to struggle. Obviously, small businesses, we have airlines, the travel, hospitality industries, entertainment, all those industries are continuing to struggle and fight tooth and nail until we can get back to some sense of normalcy and they could start to operate as normal again. So if you're looking for a higher risk but higher reward potential, I would probably recommend you guys look into investing in some of those airline stocks, cruise lines, entertainment, hospitality stocks that have just been crushed over the past 9 months, because if the COVID-19 vaccine rollout is successful and those companies start to get back to normal business operations, you may see those stocks shoot up. Now, where does this leave people like you and me just looking to invest our hard-earned money? Half the articles you read online tell you that the stock market crash of 2021 is inevitable, while the other half tell you to continue to invest in the market and ride the bull wave through the year. Now, these experts often change their mind throughout the year and constantly contradict one another. And the general public just seems to come to accept it. Now, I will say if you constantly predict a market crash, you will eventually be right. Now, this causes way too many ordinary investors to sit on the sidelines and wait to invest their money. They wait for the ultimate rally and then get in too late when stock markets are at all-time highs and they think it's going to keep going. And then eventually there's a pullback or a minor recession in which those people take out their money because they want to wait till the market bottoms out so they can reinvest. The only issue with that is when the market does actually bottom out, they continue to fear that it will go lower. And when the stock market eventually starts climbing, they want to see a steady bull run before putting their money back in, and then rinse and repeat. They invest their money at the top of the market and then sell at the bottom, when you should be doing the complete opposite. This is a recipe for stagnant returns over time, and honestly how a lot of people lose money in the stock market at a young age and scare themselves out of investing for the long term. There's always a possibility that today could be the lowest the stock market will ever be from this point moving forward. Now, while that's likely not the case, you still have to consider that when investing and implementing a long-term strategy. Since the existence of the S&P 500, as you can see in this chart, prices have only increased over the course of time. If your goal is to build wealth over the course of your lifetime, which I imagine for the vast majority of you watching, that is probably the case, you have to try to avoid letting your emotions get the best of you and letting short-term price fluctuations dictate your overall investment decisions. In fact, if you continuously invest money every single month, regardless of where the market is, at all-time highs or all-time lows, over the course of many years or decades, your money is almost guaranteed to grow. The most successful investors of all time, such as people like Warren Buffett, have continuously invested since a very young age and have not deviated from their overall long-term strategy. Warren Buffett has been made famous by going on buying sprees when companies are undervalued in the marketplace. So he does what everybody else should be doing and buying low and selling high, but more importantly, he plans to buy and hold that company or stock in that company for many, many years. And investing in the stock market for the long term is not a get-rich-quick scheme. In fact, would it surprise you if I told you that most of Warren Buffett's wealth was generated after his 60th birthday? 2020, his net worth was estimated to be around $81 billion at 90 years old. Now, would it surprise you if I told you that over $70 billion of Warren Buffett's net worth was accumulated after he qualified for Social Security benefits in his mid-60s? So just let that sink in for a second. Warren Buffett invests for the long term, not letting short-term price fluctuations affect his overall investment decisions, and over the course of his lifetime, he has seen his wealth balloon and skyrocket. Now, while the vast majority of people out there cannot replicate what Warren Buffett has done, what we can do is try and replicate his investment strategy. Now, if you guys are confident that the overall stock market will be higher 10, 20, 30 plus years from now, just remember to stick to your strategy of long-term investing and not let short-term price fluctuations dictate how you invest. So regardless what the experts tell us is going to happen, I think it's important for all of us to keep that long-term strategy in mind and just invest every single month throughout 2021, regardless of how the market reacts. Because at the end of the day, if experts were always right, there would be many, many people far richer than Warren Buffett himself. So if the experts aren't able to predict the market every single year, then don't beat yourself up for not being able to predict it either. And certainly don't let that lead to paralysis by analysis. And by that, I mean overthinking your investment decisions and attempting to time the market, which ultimately leads to inaction. I hope you guys found some value in this video. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe below, and honestly, I would love to hear from you guys. What are you guys investing in? What do you think is going to happen with the stock market in 2021? What do you think is going to happen with the real estate market this year? Please do drop your comments below. I love reading comments and interacting with everybody. So I appreciate all of that from you guys and hope to see you again soon.